Hello, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harpin on Rugby, where with the help of some fellow fans, I get the chance to harp on what's going on with Leinster, Ireland, and the wider rugby world. Joining me to discuss the latest off-season rugby topics is someone back for his 39th Harpin cap. Welcome back to Mr. Tom Coleman.
Evening, Jeff.
Okay, so listen, we'll move on to our main subject now. Earlier, we're recording on Thursday evening, and earlier today, Ireland were down in South Africa. They played Australia, and it was touch and go there for a while, but they pulled ahead and got the bonus point right at the end. Tries from Nicholson, Gleeson, McCarthy, and Mangan right at the death. Got us a 30-10 win over Australia. What'd you make of it all?
Yeah, I was even though we're one of the form teams coming into the tournament, I was slightly nervous of this pool. Just because the way the under-20s work, you're seeded on the last tournament. So it was going back to 2019 when we finished 8th, and Australia got to the final, and England were 5th, I think, in that tournament. Hence the way we all ended up in the same group. And it's a real weird way of doing it. I know maybe there's no other way of doing it, but
we're still blaming COVID for things at this stage.
Well, it's year on year. It's based on it's based on the previous tournament results. Where you finish. It's like Japan have obviously this tournament, and Scotland finished 12th in the last tournament, hence they're not in it, which is good as well. Then you need to sort of mix up the teams coming up and down. But, I digress. The game itself, even the concerns I had pre-tournament, especially that Saturday against England and then Thursday against Australia, was going to be a big demand on the squad. And it just, as you say, early on, it looked quite tough. Australia started well, and we were sort of struggling to get out of our own half or out of our own 40. But the defence all day was outstanding from Ireland. That's as good as the senior team. Some of the defensive sets that Ireland under 20 lads had all match was just outstanding, and we end up really sort of strangling the life a bit out of Australia. And even in the second half, I think we ended up with over 65% possession in territory. We just hemmed them in, and they ran out of ideas, and they ran out of physicality. And our forwards on the day, nearly 1-8 were outstanding. And it's really set us up for a final match against Fiji. You would hope Fiji just lost this evening against England, and they lost the first game against Australia, that we should win, with all due respect to Fiji, and we'll see what happens in the England-Australia game and that's on at the same time. But, we're looking, dare I say, looking good for the semi-finals. It'd be interesting to see what sort of rotation the squad does. But, given my nervousness, that was just my own personal, given my nervousness of the draw, the way it was, I think Ireland getting to a semi-final. And after that, it could be open territory. England could be there, Australia could be there, depending on the result of that game. France definitely looked like there. And then the fourth spot is just wide open between Italy, Georgia, South Africa, and Argentina. It's just a winner takes all on the last day. But no, outstanding from the lads. It's just the whole expression in Ireland, they have some Leroji, and they do. They just know, they just able to grind out results. We loved them in the Six Nations, the running rugby they played. And some of the ball play was just outstanding. And then anyone that was able to tune in today, and that pitch then in parallel in South Africa was an absolute bog. And to mix it up and sometimes play 10 or 12 man rugby, adapting to conditions and still pulling out a bonus point win against Australia, a team who, I know it's 4 years ago, but the last team they got to the final against France. It's a different gang of lads, but anytime you bonus point an Australia team in any competition, we shouldn't be sniffed at. So yeah, absolutely fantastic result, and they've really set themselves up for the latter stages of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great result. I mean, my worry was, I don't know if it was a worry, but it was an interesting test of the theories over whether it's better to rest players ahead of a big game or to actually play them and get some rugby into them, because there's a 5-day turnaround in this tournament. And because Ireland played England in the first game, we only made 4 changes going into this match, whereas Australia played Fiji, which arguably was the weakest of the pool.
Yeah.
So they were able to, I presume, rest players for that and made 10 changes for this.
Yes.
So I was a bit concerned because it was so close. We were ahead going in the break, but it was only by 1 point. And I was a bit concerned that there might be we'd start to get tired of the second half and stuff, but especially in those conditions, which would make it even tougher. But it wasn't even so much a fitness thing. It's just a general confidence thing in the team. Most of the tries came from putting it to the corner, and when you do that, you have to back it up with a score, and they were able to do that, like with lineouts. I mean, they did make mistakes on the day. It wasn't a good day for Sam Prendergast overall either, same as last time, but still overall, we were able to get the scores, much like the Grand Slam campaign, where there were mistakes, and we were behind in a lot of those games as well. But they were able to get the scores when they needed them, and that was the key.
Yeah, and Murphy seems to have built a squad there there's a bit of depth there, and as you say, we made 4 changes only compared to Australia's 10, and that goes back to what I was saying at the start, that's a direct result of us finishing 8th seed in the last. We got that tough middle start where England and Australia, who finished 2nd and 5th respectively, have a slightly easier 1 and 2 games on paper anyway. It just shows you everything doesn't work out. But yeah, you're right. A 5-day turnaround between England and Australia was always going to be tricky, and we'll probably see a good few changes against Fiji before the semi-final. Hopefully we'll be there. But yeah, just some real players in that batch of players. Gus McCarthy I thought was outstanding. Brian Gleeson is just a monster. Number 8. I think that production line in Ireland for number 8 is getting nigh on ridiculous at this stage. He's a guy that you can see him playing in Munster fairly quick. It'll be interesting to see when he gets some game time over the next year or two. He looked ready-made for professional rugby. And Ronan Fox, who I was a little bit worried about playing tight head, and Paddy McCarthy had to switch from tight head to loose head, which would be his normal position. There was a touch of what I'd call the Mike Rosses against Northampton at half time. Back in the Millennium Stadium, where whatever went on, they just altered. I know Australia made some subs as well, substitutions as well, but whatever alterations we made in our scrum, especially at half time, really paid dividend, because we whatever advantage Australia had, especially in the first sort of half an hour, it was just completely reversed. I haven't seen a reversal in scrums like that with the same 2 teams probably since Leinster and Northampton way back in 2011. So yeah, massive from those guys. 2 big guys in the second row. And Fintan Gunn is just another classy number 9, and it's good that you don't rely on Prendergast. Prendergast was absolutely outstanding in the Six Nations, and he's a good bit of miles on this season, and maybe that's starting to tell. But it's good that we could hopefully get to a semi-final, and Prendergast hasn't fully fired yet. But Fintan Gunn is a great guy inside him to sort of take some pressure off, and he's a good ball playing 9. And then we try to mix it up in the back line. We've a couple of the guys suspended from the first game wasn't playing, so yeah, we were able to mix it up a little bit, and it's been great so far. They've gone on strength from strength from the Six Nations, and yeah, it's always good when your team in your under-20s goes a bit further. You know what I mean? It gives you a little bit of to watch more matches, and yeah, can't wait for the next few matches now.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest worries for now for Ireland is, like you said, you had the red card Cooney at the end of the last game, and you had another one here, similar situation, a bit of a rush of blood to the head in the closing stage. This was a sub, another back 3. Well, no, this was a back 3 player. Telfer just sort of ran in, and it was given a yellow card at the time, but it was always looked like it was going to be upgraded to a red. So they might be short-handed in the backs against Fiji, and it's all about the team we pick for that game. We play Fiji on Tuesdays, the 4th of July. It's a 12:30 kickoff. Interestingly, I don't know if this is right or not, but I have it down that England are playing Australia. They kick off half an hour later. I know there's 2 different locations but it's interesting that they have that half an hour difference in the kickoff time, which means that I think the way by my maths, if we get a bonus point win, we're in the semifinals no matter what. I don't think anyone can beat us to the best second place qualifier if we get the bonus point win. So it is kind of in our own hands against Fiji to get that job done.
you would have thought that maybe television requirements isn't that big a demand at under 20s, that they should fix these last games in the pools at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, as bad and all as Australia and England having a half an hour advantage, say let's say we win and we fail to get a bonus point, that gives them half an hour of,
they'll know what they can do. Yeah.
And it is a bit ridiculous, but as bad as and all as we have it, I think that other pool of death where they've all beaten each other. I think the first game between Georgia and Italy,
they go first. Yeah.
And then South Africa don't play Argentina till 6 o'clock that night.
Yep, they got they've got 8 hours to prepare.
Yeah, so I don't know, I think if you're an Argentinian fan, you're going to tune in via wherever you are and you're going to watch that game. It doesn't matter, excuse my French, that you're missing out watching Georgia and Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not bothered if I miss England and Australia as much as I'd be interested. I'm happy to see both games. They're on at the same time, grand. It's a bit of a weird one that they're not on at the same times, especially when all of the pools do affect each other. It's a bit of a unique tournament where So yeah, look, still, as you say, we're in the box seat. If we can pick up a bonus point win against Fiji, we'll be in the semi-finals regardless.
And also, like on the injury front, had that the bad head collision by Ruan Quinn towards the end as well. So I hope that doesn't affect him. But I'd say we're probably going to be resting players, and just to try to look at things optimistically from Fiji's point of view, they're not going to finish anywhere but bottom of that pool at this stage, I'd say. So they'll be, because there is relegation from this. Fancy that, relegation, international rugby competition. Yes. I knew who knew. But because they'd be worried about that, you think they'd be more interested in their next game, which is going to be a big knockout match. If they get one more win from their next two, they don't get relegated. So they might be resting a few as well. But that's definitely a lot to look forward to. And we'll see.
Yeah, because they could be playing the 12th. Sorry, if they finish 12th seed, they could be playing the 11th played team. And who's that looking like at the moment? Probably Japan, maybe.
Yeah.
So they'll be looking like at a match against Japan to see who stays up. And you're right. Like, I know it sounds bad, but that match is more important than the Ireland match. But we can only play what's in front of us.
Yep.
And just it's
and the way it works out, but they're all 5-day turnarounds. They have to manage the squad. There's nobody's going to play all 80 minutes in all 5 of those matches. They just wouldn't be let, I'd say.
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be let.
No, but so anyway, listen, that's all to look forward to anyway. Listen, we're gonna leave it there. Thanks, Tom. It's good to have you on. Good to talk about a bit of rugby. We'll be getting back to the World Cup hopefully soon after all this under 20s is done and dusted. Of course, there's a rugby championship as well. So I hope to have you on again soon to talk about that. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
No problem at all. And coming up next on Harpin on Rugby, we're planning on having a pod next week after that under 20s third and final pool match against Fiji. So stay tuned for that. Also, check out our social media channels and be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you can. All the links can be found in the program notes. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. Slán.